Okay, so several of you did say you wanted to know how to do a digital notebook. So for those of you that still maybe do notes with your students or vocabulary, bell work, any kind of those things, you can continue to do those online instead of handing out a paper packet or having them put it on paper, and you can make it all digital. So the way I made mine all digital was, instead of using Google Docs, I used Google Slides. It's a little more user friendly when it comes to this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you what mine looks like, and then I'm going to walk you through the steps of how to create your pages the way you want them created so that you can go through and add the content that you want to add. Okay. So first off, this is what my digital notebook from American Government class is going to look like this year. So when you open it up, as you can see, I've edited and formatted my Google Slides to basically look like pieces of paper. So it still gives them that notebook kind of feel. And I can come up here and zoom in so you can see things are a little bit better. Okay, so this is my title page. I've created a banner in Google Drawings at the top of some photos that represent government. And then I've titled it American Government 2019-2020 Notebook, which that should be changed because obviously it's not 2019 anymore. Okay, so anyway, we'll fix that later. So down here, students are able to edit it to add their name. So they just have to click in the box and it gives them the ability to type. And then of course I always have them put what lab group they're part of. So at the beginning of the year when they're turning them in, I know exactly where in my progress book I need to go to add those grades. Then down here is my name and my academy that I'm in, and then my little Bitmoji. If you want to learn more about Bitmojis, you can download the app and create your own Bitmoji, and then you can copy and paste the different facial expressions and sayings into areas that you would like to. So that's another cool digital tool that you can use. So your students kind of see you, even though it's not necessarily you. Okay, then I've created little tabs over here. One says table of contents, one says vocabulary, and then one says notes. So if they actually click on the tab that says table of contents, this little reminder pops up, and if they click on that, it takes them to my table of contents page. Okay. So I've created a table of contents. It's based around what topics we're going to cover and how many modules. So my vocabulary list is listed first. Then I have module 1, module 2, module 3, module 4, module 5, module 6. And then underneath the modules, everything that falls into that. So for 1 week, I'm focusing on module 2. The student can click on that, and it'll take them to the title slide for module 2. And then they can scroll down from that to the notes that they're looking for. Okay. This really works great if you already have notes written up, because you can just copy and paste and make a few edits, because that's what I did. And so then they can scroll and they can look for the page that they're looking for. Then if we go back to my title page, I can click just on the vocabulary tab, and it takes me directly to the vocabulary list. This is every vocabulary word that I'm going to go over throughout the entire school year with my students. So I provide those with them up front, and then I can reference specific vocabulary lists each week if we're transitioning to a new list of vocabulary words. And then back to the title page, if you click on notes, it just takes them to the very first slide, module 1, that will lead them into the rest of the notebook. So again, if they go to the table of contents, they can go to the specific module that they're looking for. Okay, so that's what mine looks like. So now I'm going to transition over to a brand new blank slate, and I'm going to show you how to format your slide presentation to look like a notebook. So I'm just going to give this a title. I'm just going to call it Digital Notebook Video. Okay, so if you want to format your slide to look like a piece of paper, you need to go to File, and then we're going to go all the way down here to Page Setup. We're not going to do the widescreen version. We're going to do a custom, and we're going to do an 8.5 by 11, which is the standard piece of paper. Click apply, and now your slide looks like a standard piece of paper. So now this is when you get to do all the fun stuff. So this is going to be your title slide. You may want to change the background. So if you click background, you can change a color. I'm going to do a purple gradient. Done. And then you can add a title. So if this is for my American Government course, I may put American Government and then my name. Okay. Again, you can manipulate this however you want. The reason why this is so much easier to manipulate is because it's a presentation. And so you can add text boxes in specific places. And you can put pictures exactly where you want them. And in Google Docs, it's similar to Word. You have to insert the photo in a certain location if you want it to do the thing or do a text wraparound. In here, you can maneuver everything around the slide how you want it. So this might be my title slide. So every time I add a new slide, I can click new slide, and it automatically gives me the option to do a slide with a title and then put my information down here in the box. So I may do a table of contents, and then I may say module 1. What is it? Okay. So once that's in there and you've got everything that you want in your table of contents, you can continue to add your slides. You can manipulate them however you want. So this may be my module 1 section. So I always do a slide that actually says what module is coming up instead of just jumping right in from one to the other, but you can format it however you'd like. So there's my intro, and then I'm going to add another slide, and I'm going to title it Government Is. And we're just going to pretend I entered a bunch of stuff for my students, okay? What I can then do is after I get all of those pages formatted, I can go back to my table of content. Hold on. Once I get this page formatted here, Government Is, I can highlight its unique slide code here in the Omnibox. And I can go back to my table of contents and I can link it. So I can highlight, press the link button, insert that link to that direct slide, and click apply. Okay. So then we try it to make sure it works. Click on it. Sure enough, it takes me to the Government Is slide. Okay. So you can link everything back to the table of contents. You can link everything to another slide so that they just have to click on something to go to the next slide. You can put in I call them buttons, but you can use clip art or pictures, and you can give them a link that you can go to, because you can revert every slide back to the table of contents if you want to. I didn't necessarily go that far in mine. It all just depends on what you want your students to be able to do. Once it's all complete and you like the way it looks, it's already saved in your Google Drive. You can integrate videos, you can integrate photos, you can integrate other documents, you can add the links. In my digital notebook, I do have highlighted links in some sections where I want students to actually go and look at something for me. So let me see if I can find one of those quickly. Of course, I'm not finding them. On this page that talks about the Electoral College, I did a lot of word art to kind of get it across what I wanted them to understand. So it was less notes, but more word art. But these are still necessary things that they're going to need to know. And you can jazz it up as much as you want. You can add color. You can change all the backgrounds. For me, with the note taking, it's easier for the students to see it if it's in black and white. And so I jazzed up my title slides as much as possible. I know I have a video linked in here somewhere, but I can't seem to come across it. This is really great. Here it is. Okay, so on this slide down here, evaluating sources, I actually have a link for a YouTube video I want them to go to. So they can click on that blue link and it takes them automatically to that YouTube video that I have linked up that discusses credible sources to use, especially when talking about historical facts. So you can also turn that video that I have linked in there into an Edpuzzle, which I talked about earlier today, to include follow-up questions that they're going to have to answer. And so not only did they take notes, but they watched a video and they they completed a short assessment, and so now you have an assessment grade for that day to show that they completed these tasks. Once you have it the way you want it, you can assign it in Google Classroom. It just depends on how you want to assign it. If you want it to be an actual assignment, you can create it as an assignment. If you just want it to be another material that they're going to use, you can set it up as a material. I personally set mine up as an assignment. I want to make sure my students are going to be completing these, especially if we're going to do more distance learning this year. But it's totally up to you on how you want to do it. Again, you can jazz it up however you want, add photos, add videos. I'm going to go through and add some more links to my videos that I make for Edpuzzle and add those in here so I know the students, when they get to that point, they know it's time to stop that part and go on to something else and come back to that later. But having a digital notebook takes away that binder that a lot of us probably grew up or have been teaching with, where it's got the dividers and it's got the papers and all of that stuff. And so this alleviates a lot of that problem, keeps it all in one place. When you assign it in Google Classroom, you can make a copy for every student, and I can show you what that looks like. So if I go into my Google Classroom and I want to assign my digital notebook to my students, I open up the classroom that I want it to be in and go to classwork, create. I'm going to make it an assignment. I'm going to attach it for my Google Drive. And again, a lot of you know how to do these steps in Google Classroom, so I'm just walking you through this because there is a new feature in Google Classroom that's awesome. So instead of a student's viewing file or students can edit your file, if you make a copy, click make a copy for every student, it automatically puts a copy of it on that student's personal Google Drive. So they're not editing your original, they're not editing anybody else's, they're only editing their own, which makes it easy if you want them to re-upload it later at the end of the 9 weeks for grading or however you want to check it to make sure that they've completed what you've put out there for them to complete. So that's a digital notebook. If you would like to view my copy to get an idea of how things are set up, I'm more than happy to share it with you. It's still a work in progress. I still want to fix some things and add some videos like I said earlier. But if you are truly interested in setting up a digital notebook for your classes, I highly recommend it. It just keeps everything all in one place, and it alleviates the ideas of us passing papers back and forth between us and the students. So again, if you have any other questions, feel free to reach out. I'm available to help you in any way possible, and hopefully this will help you with your students.